When it comes to character design, WutheringWaves is definitely up there as one of the best, with insane and unique looking characters, and amongst those characters, the Queen of Fusion Changli is arguably one of the best, with stunning animations, great damage dealing capabilities, and of course even just their appearance is enough for players to swipe. However, even when considering those factors, there was a slight issue with Changli's release that really did affect how players perceived her, along with there being an ongoing issue that is hindering Changli's performance. With that being said, Changli still remains to be one of the best DPS characters in the game with many amazing features. So with that, I'm going to be going over Changli's overall current value, the issues she faced at release and are currently facing, along with the insane potential she holds in the future to become even more powerful. Just before we jump into it, as always, would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel for more WutheringWaves content and drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Now I'm gonna kick this off with Changli's overall value, which there is plenty of, as she is certainly amongst the best DPS characters in the game. As of now, Changli is our only limited fusion 5-star DPS, which is capable of dealing insane burst damage and is extremely flexible in team building. Changli definitely thrives as a quick swap DPS, as there are major downtimes in her kit between her being able to deal great damage and hardly any. But of course the option to utilize her as a hyper carry is definitely there, since Changli would still be able to acquire stacks for her forte gauge through completing basic attack strings, leading to Changli being capable of launching her massive AoE attack a bit more often. So playing Changli with someone like Baizhi would be a viable comp that allows you to see Changli's maximum damage as a hyper carry. However, due to those major downtimes in Changli's kit, being the fact one cast of a resonant skill has a cooldown of 12 seconds, would mean a quick swap dual DPS playstyle would definitely be more optimal for clearing content. Though regardless of playstyle and as a damage dealer, Changli is capable of dealing amazing DPS in a short window with her rapid and explosive abilities. So when it comes to enemies outside of boss fights, Changli is definitely one of the best, or even perhaps the best DPS available, as characters like Jianxin and Jiyan do take quite a bit of time to charge up before they can deal significant damage, which is pretty much the last thing you would want to really do to just clear a mob of enemies. Additionally, Changli is also able to deal attacks whilst in midair and has attacks that track the enemy, so you are able to close the gap between you instantly, which definitely makes Changli a fun and powerful DPS character with quite a bit of utility in her kit. The cherry on top is that Changli is in fact the only character with multiple design variations that are accessible through her forte gauge. As she pretty much starts to lose her clothes, the hotter she becomes. So there is a ton of attention to detail when it comes to Changli's character design, and it definitely does show. However, as for possibly Changli's most valuable feature, it would have to be her godlike outro skill. Considering that she is capable of increasing fusion damage by 20% and resonance liberation damage by 25%. So with this outro skill alone, it allows Changli to have insane team flexibility and longevity, as she would be a great dual DPS alongside other fusion DPS characters such as Encore. Also, as DPS characters tend to always fade away from the spotlight due to new DPS characters dropping and being capable of providing more value, the fact that Changli can support any fusion character that drops in the future allows her to hold immense longevity, as you would still be able to utilize Changli's outro skill at the very least when there are newer fusion characters you would rather use. So all in all, Changli is a very well designed character with a ton of value within her kit, allowing her to be a fun and powerful damage dealer regardless of playstyle. So now going back to Changli's release in 1.1, the issue that Changli faced at the time is simply the fact that she released just after Jinxi in the second phase of 1.1. Now you might think, how could that have been an issue for Changli? Well, with having Rover, they were the hardest hitting burst damage dealer in a game before Jinxi dropped, and I'm sure everyone saw Havoc Rover's damage as insane and top tier. Then when Jinxi dropped and was able to deal over triple the amount of Havoc Rover's burst damage, of course then we didn't think much of Havoc Rover's damage. So Jinxi really raised the bar significantly in terms of DPS, and so considering the fact that she dropped right before Changli, along with leaks at the time in regarding to Changli's damage being completely misleading, led to everyone's expectations not being met when Changli released, as she just wasn't able to deal anywhere near the damage Jinxi was capable of dealing. Also, both Jinxi and Changli are specifically burst damage dealers, which would of course provide reason enough to compare the two. But as we have come to learn over time, comparing anyone to Jinxi is futile as she is just overwhelmingly powerful. So with that, considering that DPS is what players usually value the most from a DPS character, this would have then led to the claim of Changli not being a good DPS character and just feeling lackluster, which is very unfortunate as that wouldn't have been the case if she had released in the first phase of 1.1. But even so, Changli was in fact a great DPS character at the time, and I'm sure more players realize that after some time, as she is capable of dealing enough damage to blitz through endgame content, and on top of that, she is more comfortable and fun to use, in my opinion at least. So as much as Jinxi really didn't allow Changli to shine as much, due to the perception of top tier damage being suddenly raised before her release, ultimately it didn't really stop Changli from being a great DPS overall, but it definitely ruined the perception players had on her performance. Now as for the ongoing issue with Changli that is holding her true potential back, it is simply the fact that Changli doesn't have a dedicated dual DPS partner, whereas other DPS characters such as Jinxi and Zhang Liao currently do have dedicated 5-star sub DPS characters to support them, being Baizhi and Yinlin, which allow them to perform at their very best and showcase impressive damage dealing capabilities. However, with Changli, as I mentioned, she does thrive within a dual DPS quickswap composition. But there really isn't a DPS character that synergizes perfectly with her, just as Baizhi and Yinlin does with Jinxi and Zhang Liao. There are characters such as Rover, Yinlin, and Encore which are all great options to play alongside Changli as a dual DPS, but neither of them are quite there in order to unlock Changli's true potential. Since as specific as it may be, there would need to be a fusion character that drops which is near enough the same as Changli, being capable of dealing great burst damage, providing massive buffs such as a fusion buff and or a resonant skill damage buff, along with being optimized to play in a quickswap dual DPS composition. With that, both Changli and the other fusion DPS would benefit significantly from their outro skills and would be able to deal enormous damage as a team overall. Maybe enough to contend with or even surpass Jinxi's damage dealing capabilities, since we have already been able to see Changli's crazy damage potential when she is with someone like Baizhi that provides a 25% resonant skill damage bonus. So for a new fusion burst DPS character to provide the same buff would be perfect for Changli, and of course a fusion damage bonus on top would simply make her even greater. So as flexible as Changli is within team building, she is essentially missing a partner to take her up to the next level, which could drop very soon or a while from now, as Changli overall is still a great DPS capable of dealing enough damage to clear all content within the game. So they may want to save such a character to partner up with Changli for when her decline begins. However, there is the case with Jinxi already receiving a partner being Baizhi, which was definitely not needed as she was already the best DPS in the game by far. So with that, it could really be at any point that Kuro decides to drop a fusion DPS that synergizes extremely well with Changli and allows her to perform at her very best. Overall, Changli is an amazing DPS character with unique features and great damage dealing capabilities regardless of the lack of a dedicated dual DPS partner, making her a great character to have picked up back in 1.1. And so for those of you that are curious in regards to when she would likely rerun, if and only if Kuro are consistent with their rerun banners dropping now, then Changli is likely going to be dropping in 2.1, being right after Jinxi's potential rerun in 2.0. So it is indeed a while away, and of course by then, there may be some new DPS characters at release which are capable of dealing more damage and providing more value than Changli. But as I have mentioned, Changli will definitely receive a fusion dual DPS partner at some point later on, which will provide a significant boost to her performance. Also, if endgame remains to be the same, then Changli is more than capable of clearing all content in the game, and so would still make her a great character to pick up even in 2.1. Lastly, as Changli has an outro skill to essentially support any fusion DPS character that drops regardless of playstyle, it allows her to have quite a bit of longevity and so again makes her a great and valuable character to pick up. So all in all, Changli may not have had the most welcoming release considering the overwhelming power Jinxi put on display just before her release, and might not have the most ideal dual DPS partner to really bring out the best of her abilities, but she is still one hell of a character, and when she does receive an ideal fusion DPS partner, it really is going to be a massive game changer for Changli and will exponentially boost her damage dealing capabilities and overall value. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel for more WutheringWaves content, and if you enjoyed the video, drop a like. Also, drop a comment down below on your favorite aspect of Changli. And yeah, hope to catch you guys later.